Hi guys, so today we are going to go over how to make a Juice Wrld type vocal preset in Ableton 10. So yeah, this is what the end result is going to sound like. Cool. So the crispy, raspy nature of his voice, you need to bring yourself, but the deep reverbs and the drowning delays, that's what we're talking about creating here today. So I'm going to deactivate the channel strip that I have created. So as a sidebar, you can actually download this channel strip for free on vocalpresets.com. I'll put the link in the description, but just FYI. So the first thing that you want to do in creating this channel strip is to start a vocal effects rack. So the first thing you want to put in your effects rack, I put Autotune 8, you could put Autotune Pro, but Autotune is the first thing that you need. So if you don't have Autotune, if instead you don't have a vocal pitch correction plugin, I would suggest you download M Auto Pitch by Melda Productions. They have a great free Autotune style plugin, but honestly, Antares Autotune is so much better. So if you have that, I suggest you just use this. But anyways, so these are the settings that we used. So we put it on soprano, put the tracking on 0, put it in the key of the song, which was B major. Your song will probably be a little different, so I would find out the key and put it in the correct key of your song. Retune speed, 10. This part is critical. The rest of it on 0. And then there's no vibrato, so all this stuff becomes irrelevant. So that's the first part. Here's what it sounds like after that. Yeah, I be blowing up your phone all the time, yeah. Thinking who is always on the other line, yeah. In the middle of the night, you got me dialing, got me violent, nah. So yeah, pretty dry, but it fixes the pitch. So the next thing that we want to add is a limiter. So the limiter, honestly, it's not really doing anything. It's just catching peaks. So here's what it sounds like with and without the limiter. Yeah, I be blowing up your phone all the time, yeah. Thinking who is always on the other line, yeah. So you can see it's not even doing anything in here. This is just in case the song had some peaks in it. And if your song has peaks in it, I would highly suggest you put it in there. Just cap it at around, like, this is negative 0.3. You could put it at 0. You just want to make sure it doesn't clip your song. So the next thing that we want to add is a saturator. So here's what it sounds like before and after. Yeah, I be blowing up your phone all the time, yeah. Thinking who is always on the other line, yeah. In the middle of the night, you got me dialing, got me violent, nah. So it's subtle, and that's honestly the thing with saturators. On vocals especially, a little bit goes a long way. You want to be really subtle with it. If you start ranking up the drive, you could start going downhill real fast. So yeah, for this saturator, it's just rounding out the vocal a little bit, adding a little bit more crispness, adding a little bit more bite to it. And yeah, copy these settings, put it on soft clip. I like the sound of soft clipping, and I think with vocals especially, it sounds great. It sounds even better with bass sounds. But yeah, copy this, and it mainly is adding volume and bite to the vocal that a volume knob will not be able to achieve. So after that, we added a limiter. This limiter is doing the same exact thing as the other limiter. It's just catching peaks. Then we added the multiband dynamics, or the multiband compressor that Ableton has. I don't believe I really adjusted the settings that much. I think maybe the attack and release a little bit, and it looks like this input knob right here a little bit. But I just really love the multiband dynamic compressor in Ableton, so I just ran it through it. So we'll hear what it sounds like before and after. Yeah, I be blowing up your phone all the time, yeah. Thinking who is always on the other line, yeah. In the middle of the night, you got me dialing. So, in my opinion, it just makes it, I guess, sound a little bit more captivating. I guess it catches your attention a little more. EQ8 was the next thing that I put on. So you'll see there's a lot of narrow bands in here. So typically when I do this, or when people do it in general, the narrow band EQing is to take out harsh frequencies, which this microphone, it didn't sound great. So it was necessary to take out the harsh frequencies. And you're recording it, maybe it may not be. This is a personal opinion. And then around here, you see that there's a low cut. So typically in vocals, I like to low cut. In a track, especially a pop track or a rap track, I want to make sure the low end is only taken up by bass frequencies. Usually that's an 808, or it could be a bass guitar or something like that. I don't like the vocal to really sit down there, because then when you're like banging it in the car, like turning it up real loud, the vocal makes it sound muddy real fast. So I always try to cut some of the vocal out of the bottom. Next, we added another saturator. So this saturator is acting very similarly to the one that we added prior. So this saturator is really getting some more volume out of the vocal, as well as getting some more bite out of it. And this one we did not turn soft clip on, but it's still having a lot of the same effect. It's still bringing the volume up, it's still rounding out the vocal, it's still making it a little bit distorted. So we could have put these two plugins together and I guess put it up to the drive of 1.4, but I don't typically like the way that sounds. Usually when I start, if I take one saturator and I take the drive and I jack it all the way up, as opposed to taking multiple saturators, sprinkle them on an effects chain in a couple different spots, you'll get a different effect. It'll be slight, but you will. And I don't like it when I turn up the saturator on one instance on a vocal really high, unless it's for a specific effect. This, I just wanted to give volume and a little bit of bite. If we just did this in one plugin, combine these two effects together, it would have been too distorted and you would not be able to understand the vocal. So here's what it sounds like before and after.
Yeah, I be blowing up your phone all the time, yeah. Thinking who is always on the other line, yeah. In the middle of the night, you got me dialing, got me wiling, nah, nah.
So you get it. And then next, so these next two plugins, these are the real like meat of what we're adding. So Dark Hall, that's a big dark reverb. It's very lush. The size, it's up pretty high. The wetness, it's up pretty high, which is sometimes it's not conventional for lead vocals, especially in some pop music, like a Charlie Puth song. You might have a lower wetness. In getting that Juice Wrld or Kid Laroi type effect, you definitely want to have a lot of lush, high wetness reverbs. So the way that we were able to achieve this is that we did a low cut and a high cut. So that's the thing with these big lush reverbs, you need to tuck them in. That's really how you get a vocal to sound next level and really big and just like it's taking up all the space around you. You can turn up the wetness really high, you can make the size really big, but make sure you low cut and high cut it. If you don't low cut it, then you're gonna get muddy very fast. And if you don't high cut it, then you're gonna get a lot of high-end energy that gets confusing for the listener. So make sure you high cut and make sure you low cut. It's just kind of sitting in the middle. It's sitting in the back because it's sitting in the middle. We basically carved a space for it. So here's what it sounds like before and after.
I be blowing up your phone all the time, yeah. Thinking who is always on the other line, yeah. In the middle of the night, you got me dialing, got me wiling, nah, nah.
So yeah, that's the Dark Hall. And then after, we added a delay. So this delay, it's pretty low in the mix, not too low though. And then we have it carved very similarly to the reverb. We carved a little space for it. So we did a little low cut and a little high cut so that it kind of sits in the back. And here's what it sounds like before and after. So yeah, you basically hear it's kind of sitting in the back. Um, you may be wondering why the delay was added after the reverb and not prior to. Sometimes I do either or. Sometimes I add the delay prior to the reverb. Sometimes I add it after. Um, but in this case, I added it after because I felt that it kind of blurs the reverb and the delay a little bit. It kind of blurs the lines, and it makes it sound dark. Whereas on like maybe a Charlie Puth song or maybe something bright like a Taylor Swift song, I might have switched these and maybe put the delay first and then the reverb after so that the delays sound more, I guess, intentional. This blurs the lines a little bit, so you're not really sure if there's delays on it or where the repetition is coming from. It kind of just it helps tuck it in, and it also just darkens the tone. Um, so yeah, uh, you can get this preset, like I said prior, on vocalpresets.com. It's called the Other Line preset. I'll put a link in the description below. Um, and yeah, this is a Juice Wrld type preset. Let me know if you want some more in the future. Talk to you soon.